Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're a person of color or a woman of color who deals with facial hair, you might be wondering if laser hair removal is a good option for helping you to remove or manage this hair. And today I'm going to be talking about whether or not laser hair removal is a good option for people of color who deal with facial hair, especially if it is hormonal hair like PCOS or PCOS hirsutism. So that's what we're going to talk about today. When patients come to the office to see me because they're dealing with facial hair, they're typically dealing with three major problems. One, the hair on their face is causing a lot of problems for them. It's affecting their confidence. As a woman, obviously, you don't want to be dealing with hair on your face because it makes you feel more masculine. So that is usually the first reason why people come to remove facial hair in the office, okay? The second reason why they come in is because this facial hair, when they've tried to manage it with waxing or shaving or other methods, they have developed ingrown hairs. And ingrown hairs can be very painful, can cause a lot of swelling, can cause pigmentation, which is also another problem that comes as a result, and it can cause scarring. So in general, having facial hair can be quite distressing for a lot of women of color, and they're always wondering if laser is a good option for treating this condition. And I will say that yes, it's a great option for most people, and I'll explain who's a good candidate and who's not a good candidate in this video. But before we talk about laser, it's important to understand that hair on the face has different characteristics to it, okay? Normally, we all have thin hair on our faces. We call that hair vellus hair. Okay, that is normal. Now, the normal is going to range for different people. So for me, for example, you cannot see any hair on my face because it's very thin. For someone who's of Middle Eastern descent or of Southeast Asian descent, some of those people might have quote-unquote vellus hair, but because their hair texture is thicker, or they have the thickest hair texture in terms of everyone in the world, their hair is going to be more visible on the face, but it's still thin vellus hair. Okay, so that's one category of facial hair. The other category of facial hair is going to be thick, coarse, terminal hair. And this hair is thick because of a hormonal change. Could be due to PCOS, where you either are dealing with cortisol changes or insulin resistance, causing the hair to go from thin to thick. And so in this case, this is what we call coarse terminal hair, and that's usually what's going to be presenting in patients who have hirsutism or who have PCOS. And these are typically the people that I see in the office who are concerned about whether or not laser is a good option for them. And so if we're dealing with thin hair, then laser might be a good option if the hair is dark enough and thick enough, which is going to be in Middle Eastern people or Southeast Asian women. But there's a caveat to that, which I will talk about later on. But typically, I see a lot of Black women in the office, and they're coming in because they have coarse terminal hair that is on their faces, and it's because they either have hirsutism or PCOS, and the hair is causing ingrown hairs, hyperpigmentation, and scarring on their faces. All right? Okay, so what are the advantages of using laser hair removal as an option for removing hair in women of color who have PCOS or who have hirsutism? Number one, laser is going to help with reducing the density of the hair, okay? So when you do enough laser treatments, your hair is going to go from being thick, which is usually the problematic hair, to being thin. So that's the first advantage. It's going to decrease the density of the hair. So we're trying to get the hair to go back to the way it was before there was a hormonal component to it. One caveat that I have to say is that once the hair is triggered, once your body triggers the hair to go from thin to thick, there's no way to reverse it, okay? It's a permanent problem. So all we can do now is try to reverse the texture and get the texture to become thinner, but we cannot stop the hair from growing, okay? And I'll talk a little bit more about what you can do in that situation. So first advantage is that you get reduction in hair density. This is important because when you have reduction in hair density, there's a less likelihood that you're going to develop ingrown hairs, for example. All right. The second advantage is that you're going to get reduction of the hair growth. All right. What happens as you do more laser hair removal treatments, the laser is going to target the root of the hair, and it usually is going to start to destroy the blood supply to the hair follicle. And what happens is that it's going to slow down the rate of hair growth. So first you get hair reduction in terms of the density, and then now you're going to get reduction in the rate at which the hair is growing. It will still grow, it's just going to be decreased. And the advantage of that is once you have a decrease in the rate of hair growth, your skin has the ability to heal. A lot of times ingrown hairs occur because the hair just keeps growing and your skin doesn't have a chance to catch up with the inflammation and just heal itself, because your body has the ability to heal itself. And so if the hair keeps growing, then your body doesn't have the ability to heal itself. Now, if we reduce the rate of hair growth, then the body can now do its thing and it's going to heal itself. So that's the second advantage. The third advantage with laser hair removal is that you have the ability to remove 80% of the hair. Not 100%. Technically, laser hair removal should be considered laser hair reduction, but it has the ability to permanently remove 80% of the hair as long as you do enough treatment. My recommendation is that you need treatment for about 3 years to get 80% reduction. And this is what people don't tell you, but this is what I've seen in my office. So you get reduction of the hair. The fourth advantage of using laser hair removal is that you're going to get improvement in your skin texture. So initially I mentioned that when you reduce the rate of hair growth, your skin has the ability to heal, and that is one advantage. But the second advantage is that if you use laser, which always is going to produce heat, for example, if you use an ND-YAG laser, because that's the best option for people of color, ND-YAG lasers have this ability to produce heat, and that heat is going to help with the tone of your skin, and it's also going to help with the texture of the skin. The heat basically tells your skin to remodel or to make new collagen, and so if you have hyperpigmentation or scarring as a result, you're going to notice that that is going to improve and that is going to smooth out your skin. So that is the fourth advantage of having laser hair removal as a treatment option in this case. The last advantage is that laser hair removal is one of the fastest treatment options or the fastest ways to remove hair, especially on the face. For me in the office, it can take me up to 5 minutes to treat a person's full face, and that is pretty good compared to like waxing or shaving or even electrolysis, which can be quite time consuming. So those are the 5 advantages of using laser hair removal to remove hair in women of color, facial hair specifically. Now, what are the downsides of using laser hair removal? Number one, we cannot remove all of the hair. So like I said before, when you have PCOS, the hair we cannot stop the hair from growing, because the switch from vellus hair to coarse hair is a permanent switch and we cannot reverse that. We can slow it down with laser, but we cannot reverse it. So that means we're able to remove 80% of the hair with laser, but you still have that 20% of hair that can stay dormant. So for my patients, I give them 2 options. You can either keep coming in for more laser hair removal treatments, or you can opt for electrolysis. In that case, you don't have to remove as much hair as if you had started with electrolysis in the beginning, and you get to still get the benefits of laser where your skin is going to improve both texture and your tone of your skin. The second disadvantage of using laser hair removal is that it can trigger something called paradoxical hypertrichosis. I will make a longer video on this topic, but briefly, paradoxical hypertrichosis is a condition where the laser is going to trigger hair follicles to grow. So it's going to trigger your hair to go from vellus to terminal. Does that make sense? And it's not that, and there's 2 different schools of thought, so I'll go deeper into the other video. But hypertrichosis or paradoxical hypertrichosis typically will happen when you do laser, 1, on the face. 2, it typically happens in people of Southeast Asian or Middle Eastern descent. 3, it happens if the laser option that you're using is not strong enough for the skin tone. So for example, if you're Indian and you use IPL, there's a high chance that you can get paradoxical hypertrichosis. So for example, for my Indian patients, I exclusively use ND-YAG lasers for them, just to prevent that from happening. And how do you deal with it? For the most part, you have to keep doing more laser. Now, I don't want you to confuse paradoxical hypertrichosis with hypertrichosis that you can get after laser. And the reason why you can get hypertrichosis after laser is that if you are doing laser hair removal on the chin, for example, which is usually caused by a hormonal change, and the hormones are not addressed, once you remove the hair from the chin, your body is going to redirect that hormone to other hair areas or other areas where you have hair, and it's going to trigger those hairs to grow. And so that trigger is a hormonal trigger compared to like a trigger from the laser. So that's the difference. I'll talk more about this in my paradoxical hypertrichosis video. So what should you do as a woman of color who has facial hair? Should you do laser hair removal? I will still say that yes, that is the best option for women of color who are dealing with facial hair, especially if the facial hair is causing ingrown hairs, hyperpigmentation, and or scarring, okay? But I will say that know that you're going to start with laser hair removal, but eventually you will probably need to do electrolysis if your goal is to completely remove the hair on your face. I hope that this video was helpful. If you have more questions related to facial hair, laser hair removal, hyperpigmentation, let me know below. If you're in the DC metro area, my practice, Delight Medical and Aesthetics, focuses on treating people of color, skin concerns, aesthetic treatments, things of that nature. I will leave my information below. You can book a consultation with us if you are considering laser hair removal, or if you have facial hair, or if you just want us to help you with your skin. All right, I will see you in the next video.